Hi, this is Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. Today I want to talk about reviews, critical reviews for comic books. So I was actually watching Diversity in Comics. Zach, he did a video a couple days ago about how sycophantic all of these websites are that grade comic books and give them scores. And if you look at all the scores, I think the worst score I saw anywhere, and I really had to look for it, was like a 6. But yeah, basically everything is going to be 7 and above, like everything, every comic. It's really hard to find low graded ones, and the ones that are low are actually going to just be from smaller publishers. They're not going to be anything from Marvel or DC. And a big reason for that is that the people that are reviewing comic books are hoping to get jobs at Marvel and DC. So they're trying to look good. Man, I'm trying to find a really low review here. 6.7. So far, that's our winner. 6.7. Part of the reason why this is such a problem is because the comic book industry really is a small world. I am basically nobody in the big scheme of things, and I can go out on Twitter and I can start a conversation with almost any professional comic book artist or professional comic book writer, or even like an important person at the top of the pecking order at Marvel. I mean, all these people will respond to you, especially if you say anything negative to them. There's repercussions to pay. As Diversity in Comics is a great example, he could attest to that. Things are not the same way in the movie industry, and that's because it's massive. It is a massive industry, and I'm going to make an assumption here, but it doesn't seem like there are so many people that are hoping to make it into the movie industry by reviewing movies. I've never heard of that being a route that anybody went. I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. But it seems like a really silly way to get your foot in the door. But for comics, that's apparently a way that works. So Rotten Tomatoes is a great example. If you're not familiar with it, there's rating scores from critics, movie critics, but also, and I think more importantly, you'll get ratings from individual viewers. And man, if somebody doesn't like a video, they will thrash it. Here's what's one? Bird Box. Yeah, this has I need to get some ad block going or something. 55%. Did you see anything? If we go back to here, comic book reviews. Did you see anything in the 5s? I've been looking for a little while. Nothing in the 5s. Nothing. Rotten Tomatoes. You want to look over here's worse. Let's see, 27. The Happy Time Murders got a 23. A 23. So you got the tomato meter, and then you have the audience score. What's nice about this is you've got two different levels of checks and balances, I guess. Critics are valuable. Somebody that knows their way around a movie or a comic book, and they can give you an informed opinion about it. That's really nice. That's a great thing to have. It's an asset, because there's some consequence if you do poorly at your job. If you make a bad movie, you can't just get away with that. You deserve to be criticized for making that bad movie. And not only that, you also deserve for people not to watch your movies, and it's going to be harder for you to make movies in the future. Now, these don't always align. The audience score, I mean, in this example, the audience score is higher. I'd say 42% is not great still. But there are certainly movies that the critics loved it and the audience hated it. I think Star Wars, right? That was a good example of there's a discrepancy there. Now, if somebody really wanted to, they could make a website easily, like Rotten Tomatoes, and encourage people to be harsh on comic books. Comics do get reviews from customers; they're out there, but it's not the same. And I really think that a big part of that is just that the industry is so small. So this is why, honestly, YouTube has been such a great place for critics. Personally, I don't do comic book critiques because there's so many people that do it, and they do it so well. It's not my thing. I'm not interested in trying to compete there, but there are lots of great ones, and you can hear people's opinions on them. And hopefully it'll help you make an informed decision on what books you want to be buying and what books you don't want to be buying. Having said that, the fact that the comic industry can directly push back, or let's just say, tortiously interfere, yeah, that's a big problem. The criticism should be separate. It should be encouraged. But instead, they're encouraging sites that are only going to say good things, and really, this isn't good for anybody. I can't trust anything I see here, and I feel like I'm already really picky when it comes to comics, 'cause where I'm going to be spending my money. And honestly, I go to YouTube. I watch critics. They're not always right, but having some kind of critical eye is super important. Okay, so if you're feeling down on yourself ever, if you just need a smile, this is a treat. Moon People is a book. It's published in 2008, and this was, back when ebooks were just a massive craze. And you can see this is just a self-published book, but there's 132 customer reviews here. And if you want to just enjoy yourself, I would scroll on down to the reviews and read them. And I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to read a little bit here, but every time I read through these reviews, I get laughing so hard. I can't handle it right off the bat. Yikes. Wow. Awful, in quotation marks. Can't begin to describe this. It's so bad it's almost good. If you get it for free, it's worth having so you can read passages out loud to friends late at night over too many beers. Aside from that, it might work as a doorstop. Yes, it's really that bad. Trust me on this. So this is why I love Amazon, is because people are just so blunt. Even though this is the person that wrote this, I'm sure they put a ton of time and work into it. I mean, I've written a couple novels. I can tell you it took me, I think the fastest novel I wrote was a little over a year. It took me of intensive writing to get it done. It's a lot of work, but it doesn't matter. That's not factored in to the decision-making process when you're talking about customers. They're going to tell you exactly what they think. Okay, so you'll see some of these reviews have actually good star ratings, but they're more of jokes because this book is just so bad. I keep meaning to buy it. This one says, unfathomably juvenile writing technique, but strangely enjoyable. There's been a dearth of real reviews for Moon People, but I thought I'd take a stab at it. I will forego the tradition of trying to imitate Del M. Courtney's writing. Moon People is a joyfully awkward book to read. As a fan of bad art, I find these stories, these sorts of projects very compelling. I find myself engrossed in trying to figure out both what the author meant and what the author is actually like. I bought this for Kindle, and my wife and I would read it aloud before bed. I think it's actually a good way to do things. It clears the mind, it's funny, and it doesn't raise any serious questions that would get in the way of a good night's sleep. I couldn't say that this is The Room of books, but that it isn't a good comparison. The Room has just a lot of personality behind it. Moon People is an enigma without personality. My curiosity about Del M. Courtney would grow, but there was never anything that provided any answers. I'm left with the conclusion of, is he all there? Does it matter? Here's a 5-star review. I don't always read books, but when I do, I prefer Moon People. The amount of political nuance in novel are compelling, unmatched by the drivel that is modern literature. The novel uses non sequiturs as a sort of figurative language to sum up the book in one word: brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, these are jokes, of course, and some of these reviews have been incorporating some of the language that's in the book. My favorite part is when Courtney decides not to describe what the Admiral's USS Lunar Base 1 looks like, and instead he opts to show the reader a picture of the Death Star. The grammar makes it a bit hard to read and comprehend, but the book puts a smile on my face every time I see it, which is all we should ask for out of a good book. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's just me. I read through these because there's so many. I read through them and I cannot stop laughing. If you read, I would suggest, okay, go read just like a page from Moon People. Read one page and then go read the reviews, and then they'll make more sense. But oh my gosh, I'm not going to make you listen to me laugh anymore, but it's just hilarious. So on Amazon, there are reviews for comics. They're there. Unfortunately, it's not a place that there are really very many. You have to really look for them. This is everyone's favorite writer, Mark Waid. Black Widow, Volume 1. Yeah, there's 24 reviews. For something that big, I think I've got more than 24 reviews on my books. Okay, and here's a 1-star review. Coming off the Edmondson Noto run, the Waid Samney run has been nothing but a huge disappointment. Waid promised Nat would be going back to her spy roots, but apparently those roots are more about hitting people than anything else. The first issue is iffy, with nothing but panels of action, but it would be alright, if only the whole run didn't read exactly the same way. He does nothing to flesh out Natasha as a character. The base for the run is the stereotypical, ooh, Natasha did something bad, let's blackmail her for it, tripe that has been done before. And then the other 1-star review, the wrong book. Maybe they got sent the wrong book or something. Okay, here's another one. Which one are we looking at? Let me see. Mark Waid. Oh, Captain America. Again, not many reviews. 4 customer reviews. That's it. That is it. Amazon is not a place, for some reason, for comics, graphic novels. It's not a place that reviews come to reside, though they do for other novels. It doesn't really make sense. The stories are solid and fun, but unfortunately I can't really recommend this. The problem with this collection is that it doesn't really have any depth to it. It's simply Captain America beating up bad guys. It doesn't explore who he is or deal with any kind of aspect of his personal life. As a result, the character comes off as too one-dimensional, and the stories are pretty flat. See, this is exactly the kind of review I would want to see. I want to see someone just give an honest and frank review. I'm not just trying to pick because it's Mark Waid. I'm not just trying to pick like 1-star reviews or anything, but having somebody be critical about it that just bought it, that has nothing to gain or lose. They're just telling what they thought about the comic book. This is important because I am more likely to look at this and read at the negative review and see if it's something that I agree with, something that would bother me, at least to get a different perspective instead of everybody just patting the back of these Marvel creators. And I picked out Brand New Day, Volume 1, because that was, a lot of people didn't like that. Let's ignore the fact that I absolutely despise One More Day and everything it did to Spider-Man's progress as a character. Just for a moment, no, I can't. This automatically loses some points already. While a few story ideas in this volume are a bit cool, several explanations from how OMD did things like bringing Harry back are not explained soon enough. Okay, so this goes on. Really, really long review. Well thought out. I mean, these are done by comic readers who are reading this stuff and they've got problems. Okay, and last but not least, you see like these little sites that have like the 5 worst comic series ever, terrible comic books. And this was published in 2017, and it has nothing that's new. I mean, these are all pretty old. Yeah, from the 90s. New Excalibur. Yeah, 2005. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's not fun. Yeah, so these are bad books, right? Arguably they're bad books. But where are all the modern bad books? It's not just that they've learned how to perfect the system and that there are just no bad books anymore. It's that there aren't enough people willing to stand up and say, hey, this is bad, we expect better. I mean, that's not true, actually. There are a lot of people that stand up and say that. The problem is when you do, you are ostracized, you are called a bigot. They'll find other ways to push you down. Anyway, I know this video was a little unorganized. I just had some fun putting some things together and looking at it, and I thought I'd share it with you. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I could really use your help there. And if you're interested in following me on Twitter, I'm at CastSweet, so it's a little backward there. And I will see you next time for the next video.